Okay, now, probably while you're speaking, you should come on and let us, unmute yourself, okay? And
What?
can you unmute yourself?
Am I not unmuted?
We don't see you. I hear you, but I don't see you.
Oh my god.
So if we could see, that would, if we're seeing the two people who are talking. One.
You have to turn your camera on.
Oh, someone's trying to get in, I think. Yep. Olivia's here. Great. Are you almost ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Are you ready to put the camera on?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, but I have to go on the other app to open it, so I don't know if you'll still see me.
Oh, we can see you. Okay. Very good. That just helps us a little bit better as we watch. Okay. So
Okay.
here we go. Olivia, we're going to start with Katie doing the opening, and then all three attorneys for the prosecution team will direct their witness. And then we will have Nathan, we will have Sterling do his opening statement, then all three of the defendant attorneys will direct their witnesses. And we're recording this as we go. So let's do the best we can to get through this. If you have any questions, wait till one of the speakers is done before you ask them. Don't worry too much today about doing objections, but if you think of a place where you would object, please write it down, take some notes on it, and maybe we can talk about it. Nathan is here, so let's admit Nathan. Hi, Nathan. Hey, Nathan, are you there? You there, Nathan?
Yes.
Okay, we are going to start with opening statements in the prosecution. Then each of the prosecuting attorneys is going to call their witness and direct them. Then we're going to do the opening statement for the defendant, and then each of you will call your witness and defend them in whatever order you want to do this. This is practice. I know that's not the way it will be in the real case, but this is just practicing openings and directs. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. I'm gonna count to three, and then Katie's gonna start with her opening statement. Everybody ready to start? And I am recording this so you can look at it later when you want to think how you would object to something, or there's a lot of strategy going on here, but we don't have time for all of that right now. Yes, Nathan.
Okay, so just to clarify, you don't want us to no objections.
I would write it down. This is what I've asked everybody to do.
Okay.
If you see a place where you would object, write it down.
Okay, do you want us to write it down on the Google Doc of that direct?
I want you to do it. Well, you could do it on the streaming. Yeah, good idea.
Oh.
Let's open up a streaming and you guys can write your notes about what you see when it's happening. Okay? Does that make sense? Because it'll show who's doing the writing. What Nathan's saying is if I see something that I want to object to based what the other opponent's doing in their direct, I want to be able to object to it. Write it down then on the stream. Sound good? If that doesn't work, great. Let's just try that, see how it works. If we decide we want to start interrupting and doing the objections now, we can, but I think it'd be better to get through these directs once before we start into that. Okay? So anyway, let's just do that. And I'm going to get started. So are you ready, Katie?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't have the one where you edited it.
Well,
so I think old one, but it's fine. I got it. You can start.
Okay, so you're going to have to make do and then figure out why you don't have that. Because
yeah.
Okay.
But I'm ready. Go.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, start.
Your Honor and members of the jury, my name is Katie Froelich, and along with co-counsel Olivia Stroud and Silver Croston, I will be representing Nano. On November 3rd, 2022, Nano DeSign, as a well-known local billionaire submarine connection was lost, as well as their air supply. Through our witness, Chris Leclerc, we will prove that Nano was in fact in his right mind. He presented with no signs of insanity prior to writing those things down, that there is no evidence against him. This shows that he was in his right mind to create a new will, and he understood exactly what he was doing. Terry Cloth will further prove that that through the medical exam she conducted prior to the incident. In fact, he was better than okay. He even underwent special naval training because he was so advanced with Jackie Lung. He proves further his insanity through his handwriting. If his sanity through his handwriting. If his body was truly shutting down, his handwriting quality would have decreased. I don't know where the rest of it went, but that's all I have.
You're not looking, so you can't get on the Google or the Google Classroom at all?
Not the Google Drive, no.
Wait. I mean, there's stuff you've put on the Google Drive.
Oh, yeah, I can get it through my computer.
But you don't have your computer.
No, sir. I'm supposed to be on it on my phone, but it like does not show up
Okay,
because I have the same account, so it doesn't really make sense.
let's talk about this real quick because guys, we have to have our technology working. Okay, if we're gonna leave and go somewhere, I knew I was not gonna be, I was gonna be traveling, so I made sure I had my computer, I had my phone, they were working, I had internet access. We have to do that or it's gonna hurt our practices, especially when we're somewhat dependent on Zoom. Yes.
I was gonna say, Katie, maybe something that could work. Try logging out of your Google account on your phone and then logging back in.
Okay,
That
I'll try
could
that.
fix
Thank you.
it.
Why don't you see if you can do that? Otherwise, is someone else on the prosecution team willing to read the opening statement for Katie if she can't get to it? You see the whole thing, Olivia?
I'm looking for it. Would she be able to borrow somebody else's phone and then put the Zoom on somebody else's phone and then have the opening statement on her phone so that she doesn't have to switch between the Zoom
Probably.
and
I don't, yeah, I mean, that would work, I think. But
Well, it's been a thing with my phone that my Google accounts don't line up. So it's not really like
okay,
it's like an issue my dad tried to fix like a while ago.
okay,
So,
okay. So
but we can just
let's just go get back to the opening statement after we're done with the directs. Okay. Which of you would like, which of your witnesses is the most important? Olivia? For your case, who do you think is the most important witness?
in my opinion, probably Leclerc.
Okay, who is directing Leclerc?
Me.
Okay, so I think we should start with you. So you would just say, we would like to call the witness Leclerc to the stand, or whatever their first name is. I can't remember the first name. Okay, it's Chris, isn't it? Chris Leclerc?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would let's just do that. And who is Chris Leclerc then?
I am.
Sterling, there you go. Okay, so then now it's you and Sterling will take it from there, and you act as the prosecuting attorney and call Sterling or Leclerc, and then start your direct.
We would like to call Chris Leclerc to the stand.
Okay, then go ahead. Just assume he's up there. Say hi, Chris.
Hi.
Come on, guys. We got to move this along. Let's go.
Um,
get started.
Would you please state your name and age for the court?
My name
This
is
has to be timed, Kate.
Chris Leclerc, my name is Chris Leclerc, and I am 46 years old.
What's your occupation?
Well, I am currently the CEO for the Aquatic Center for Exploration.
What did you do before joining ACE?
Oh, I'm from Sydney, Australia, and I worked for a company called Mills Maritime Machines.
Um, sorry. Was that all?
Well, so for them, I was a captain of one of their vessels, and it was called the Stingray. And then I took a chance to go over to the business side for the aquatic exploration. And I was then the director of operations. And I went to Mills Maritime Machines Research and Development Department.
So
Am I missing something?
so why did you do that? Why did you go there? What did you do there? Sorry.
Good.
Oh, okay. I helped design and develop new video cameras and technology for the exploration vessels.
So how did you meet Nano?
So
You need to know that answer, Sterling. Okay,
yeah,
why don't you go to
Yes,
the
sir.
next question, Olivia? I'm interrupt because I need to get this moving along. This is showing us, this should show us if we're not completely prepared, why. And
Okay.
that's how we learn. So move to the next one, Olivia.
What was his behavior like?
Okay, next question, Olivia.
So why did you let Nano do this dive?
well, so he was very determined to do this dive. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Sorry. He was very determined, and he continued coming to me and saying, I want to pursue this dive. And he kept offering us money. So we finally decided to let him go.
So what happened in the days leading up to this dive?
He was so excited to do the dive, and he continued to contact me and the company, and he knew everything about the ship, so he was researching the ship, and he was contacting us about and he also was researching about this shipwreck called the Ellie that he wanted to see down there.
So, can you tell us about the prior dives?
Yes, so we're doing this series of dives to pass test for the tutu, and they were, so they started pretty short and then they got much deeper, and now they're at 6,000 meters deep. But they were all successful, and this is the last big test for it.
So, what happened during this dive?
The 6,000 meter one.
Yeah.
So they went down to the bottom, and we lost communication with them after a few hours, and so it was a couple days until we were able to find them. And yeah, the command ship Bravo lost communication with the tutu.
So, what happened next?
So then a few days later, we found them. Well, we found the tutu floating, and they had both passed, unfortunately, from lack of oxygen.
Did they find anything?
Yes, they found a notebook from Nano and his will. He had quite frequently, he was taking notes of what was going on in the ship, and he wrote his will. But for some reason, he continued to change it.
Do you know anything about this?
Yes, so he wanted to donate. He was a very wealthy man, and he wanted to donate money to different charities, and there was a confusion on whether he wanted to donate money to I believe the Aquatic Center for Exploration, or his good friend Alex Eubanks.
So, was this shocking to you?
Yes, I was very shocked. I mean, we don't know what he was going for or who he wanted to donate to, because there's a confusion with the nicknames, but yes, I was very surprised at his will.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, when you're done with this witness, Olivia, what do you want to be established? Stop
Pretty
the
much-
timer, Kate. Stop the timer, Kate. Okay, go ahead, Olivia.
pretty much that he was always a little weird, and that pretty much just kind of like putting the idea that the will is for the Aquatic Center for the Exploration.
Okay, so that and Leclerc is a witness for you to support your case?
Yes.
You're not crossing him. So you want him to look weird. Why do you want Leclerc to look weird?
I don't want Leclerc to look weird. I want Nano to have always looked a little weird. Like,
And so he might do something like this, like change his week at the last minute.
yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you accomplished that?
There's a lot of stuff
Yeah,
that
that was
Yeah.
didn't get said,
Okay,
but
so I want you to think about how much time did that take, Kate?
7 minutes and 40 seconds.
For Olivia's part? Or both?
No, for both.
Okay, so you were probably looking at 4 minutes on that. Olivia.
Mhm.
If this is your most important witness, you might want to take longer with them.
It
And-
should be longer, but we just like there
Okay.
was a lot of stuff that
So,
we had to work
Yeah,
on.
that's my bad.
it does show you why it's important to meet together and go through this, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you go ahead, Nathan.
Sorry, no, I wasn't trying to interrupt. If please continue.
Anyway, the practice when we're not practicing together, just the two of you, your witness and you as the attorney, and or vice versa, is critical, and I can't make you do it. Okay, so but I know you want to do better than that, and to do better than that, we're going to have to practice on our own a little bit. Okay, so this is recorded forever for everybody to see forever. And you can look at it and see how you want to improve. But if this is your witness that you want to make your case, you got to make them do it, Olivia. That's your job. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, yes, Nathan.
So I was going to say, just Olivia, I put a couple of the places because obviously, like, not all the questions gotten to, but I put a couple of objections where, like, I would have objected. Most of it is, I think, to what the witness is saying, like speculation. That's all. So just that you should be able to see them as like comments.
Yeah.
Great.
I noticed, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. Okay, so who would be the next witness that the prosecution would want to call?
I would say probably Terry Cloth so that we can end with Jackie Lung.
Okay, and so Silver, are you doing Terry Cloth?
Yes.
Okay, so then you would do the same thing Olivia did, that I would like to call Terry Cloth to the stand and then have them.
Yeah.
So, okay?
Your
So,
Honor, the prosecution team would like to call Dr. Terry Cloth to the stand. Doctor, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Dr. Terry Cloth.
Dr. Cloth, what was your relation to Dr. Cloth, what was your relation to Mr. Design?
I was his personal physician. I perform moderate checkups and physicals once per week, blood work once a month, and an extensive physical and cognition test once per quarter.
How did you acquire this particular job?
We reunited at a high school reunion in 2018. I told him how I was unhappy with the job I currently had at the clinic, so he offered me this job.
How much were you paid as his personal physician?
I was paid roughly $250,000 a year. Mr. Design reimbursed any expenses while I was his physician.
Could you please elaborate on your experience and time in the field of medicine and human health?
My medical journey started when I graduated from Granada Medical School in the top quarter of my class. After graduation, I interned at Muscle Shoals Municipal Hospital in Alabama. After that, I went to Dead Man Medical Center in Dallas to finish my residency. I then became an associate physician for a medical practice known as Walk-In Medics, where I practiced general medicine, which means I treated anything that came in.
How long have you been seeing to Mr. Design's health?
I've been seeing to Mr. Design's health for about 5-ish years.
Based on your training, experience, education, and personal observations of Mr. Design, do you have an opinion on whether he was competent to make the will on November 3rd?
I do. I believe he was fully competent because I have no reason to believe he had any mental disabilities or health issues at the time.
Have you ever noticed any symptoms or indications during your appointments that would show he has dementia or any health issues?
No.
What was the overall state of Mr. Design's health?
Excellent.
Did he have any long-term breathing issues or concerns?
No. One time after a mountain climb, Mr. Design experienced some short-term breathing challenges, but that resolved itself quickly without any long-term effect.
Dr. Cloth, would you please recount the physical that occurred on October 2nd and the context behind it?
On September 31st, 2022, wait. I think that one's wrong.
Oh, sorry.
On,
Oh, no, that's right. Keep reading.
oh, okay. On September 31st, 2022, I got a call from Nano D-Sign himself, which was unusual because Alex Eubanks usually contacts me. Mr. D-Sign asked me to give him an extensive dive physical for a deep-sea scuba dive he was doing. So on the 2nd of October, I gave Nano the physical he requested, though the physical was interrupted.
Why was the physical interrupted?
The physical was interrupted because of an incident that happened during the stress ECG, which is a stress test on a treadmill. What happened was Nano somehow got tangled up in the cords of the treadmill. He was already 10 minutes in when the incident happened, and he was doing perfectly normal until then, so I didn't have him finish the test. The time on the test would technically put him in the poor category, but I saw no reason because he stopped because he fell, not because it was due to fatigue or any of the sort.
So I have a quick question for Mr. Moon. So would I be introducing Exhibit 6? Like, do you want me to go and do that? Because
Yeah, if you introduce an exhibit, you say, I would like to introduce the exhibit, and first you offer it to the opposing attorney to look at. Then you show it to the judge, and when everybody agrees to it, then you let the witness refer to it, okay?
like, then so may I?
Don't worry about that too much. We will practice that a little more later down the road, okay?
Okay,
Just
then
go straight to the-
yeah. So let's go ahead then and go to sorry. Can you please share the conclusion you came at the end of the examination on October 2nd?
I said that in the conclusion, my patient, Nano, was in excellent shape and had reports of substantial experience with scuba diving. So with the data from the examination and all the reports and tests before, I see no reason, condition, or concern why I would advise against a scuba dive.
Would your medical opinion have been different if you knew what Mr. D-Sign was actually planning to do?
It's hard to say, but most of my uncertainty rides with the fact that I would have been concerned for a friend undertaking a dangerous expedition.
How often did you observe Mr. D-Sign writing anything by hand?
Not very often at all. It was only ever in one of the tiny notebooks he had with him. He didn't write much in high school either. He got so mad about having to take tests by hand that eventually the high school went to allow him to take the test on a computer.
Have you ever heard Mr. D-Sign say ace before in your vicinity?
I have.
Please state the context of the occurrence of when ace was said and what you remember of the statement around it.
It was on the 5th or 6th of September in 2022 during a checkup. I remember that he was not referring to Alex as Ace. In fact, he has never referred to Alex as Ace, but instead, I believe it was an object of preposition like, Alex, take me to Ace.
What happened on October 17th, 2022?
I went to Nana's building to give him a checkup, but he never showed up. I did see him, but he headed into the guest dining room, and the receptionist said, "That's just Nano," so I didn't think about it.
Finally, would you elaborate on the psychological tests you have given Nano in the past?
I always give him the MMSE, which is also known as the Mini Mental State Examination. It's the most common test and has maximum score of 30. A score of 20 to 24 indicates mild dementia. It is to look for a few signs of dementia, though if someone presents a few signs of dementia, it doesn't automatically mean they have dementia. We're all human and we make mistakes, though I will say I don't recall Nano ever getting a score below 25 or on any of the MMSE I have given him.
Thank you. And then that'd be the end of our direct examination.
You would say no further questions, Your Honor.
No further questions, Your Honor.
That's good. Now, where are we time-wise, Kate?
Just about 7 minutes.
for that particular one?
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
14 minutes total then, so far. Okay, and you still have so you have one more direct left plus a closing statement, if we did have a closing statement. In this case, we won't. Okay, any questions on any of that so far? I like the way Nathan's putting in objections. If this was really happening, Silver, you would have to stop and deal with those objections. And we will get to that more on the next time we do this. I want to tell both Silver and Kayla, for someone who's done mock trial for the very first time, it's very impressive how prepared you are. Okay, and what a good job you're doing. So you're really a credit to the team, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this works out for all of us. So anyway, with that said, now we have one more direct witness. Now you're going to direct North. Is it Northshire or who's?
It's Long. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's you,
Long.
right? Okay,
Yep.
so who's going to do that? Is that Katie? Okay,
Yes, sir.
Katie, you can go ahead and get started. Kate, you can time it. And the key is that you want to do the job you need to do in about 14, probably no more than 6 minutes, so you have enough time for your team to close. Does that sound good?
Yes, sir.
Katie, well, it's all yours then.
Your Honor, the prosecution calls Jackie Lung to the stand. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Jackie Long.
And how old are you?
I'm 50.
And what's your highest education?
My highest level of education was graduating from the Naval Academy.
And how long did you serve there?
I served about 24 years in the Navy. 20 of those were as a Special Forces diver. So I have a lot of experience with diving and all of the related medical issues. I've seen them all. I retired 4 years ago. So yeah.
And did you receive any badges or honors?
Yes, I did. I received the Medal of Valor for destroying an enemy warship at great risk to myself during a covert operation.
Impressive. Do you work currently?
Yes, I'm currently the lead diving instructor for the Dive and Survive scuba diving company.
And what is your involvement in this case?
I was Mr. Design's diving instructor for the period of time running up to when he embarked on the Tutu.
And where did y'all train?
We trained at a naval facility in one of Texoma's ports. I essentially knew a guy from my time in the Navy.
Was it provided location or based on pay?
Sure. So obviously, like, the Navy doesn't like to, rent their stuff out for free. I had offered, I think it was the first day at that facility would be free. I paid for it, but after that, Nano paid for it. I think his body guy, Eubanks, cut like a $52,000 check to cover all the time we'd be training there, which would be about 3 weeks.
And how much did you receive from this?
So like, in terms of the money that I was paid directly, Nano paid me about $300,000 for 3 weeks of training. So.
And when did you begin training him?
We met on October 1st, but I think we did, as I recall, we didn't start actually training until October 4th. After that, we trained for about 2 weeks. We had originally intended to train for free, but that was cut short.
Was he on track with his course?
On track would be a massive understatement. He is one of the best diving students I've ever seen. He is simply put, he was a natural, more so than I think almost anyone I've ever seen, Navy or not. We didn't just go through the standard I'm a billionaire scuba diving course. He actually excelled some of the elite diving training that divers like myself for the SEALs have gone through. We put him through intermittent hypoxic training, which is essentially a regimen of exposing yourself to low oxygen environments, doing rigorous exercise, like an hour on an exercise bike in that low oxygen environment to build up your tolerance to it, to essentially increase your lung capacity. And it also deals with breathing exercises that can help you reduce your oxygen consumption. Nano, like, again, Nano really excelled at this diving thing, and he the most interesting part of it to me that I'd never really seen before was his ability to like think through all of the problems that he would be confronted with. I remember we put him through I put him through a diving stress test, which is this thing where you send a diver down, I think it's about 120 feet, if I'm remembering correctly. And then you suddenly cut off their oxygen supply. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to make the diver panic and have how to deal with these kind of situations. Nano didn't panic at all. He was able to really quickly figure out exactly what he needed to do and very carefully, in a controlled way, get himself out of there. So yeah, Nano was a natural with diving.
And what was y'all's relationship like?
I mean, it was pretty good. I wouldn't say I ever experienced anything off other than his very high skill at diving.
Did you ever experience anything that could have suggested a lapse in memory?
No. So again, like, I'm really experienced in teaching and undergoing these kinds of very high stress situations underwater. So, and I saw absolutely no signs that he wasn't cognitively functioning in these situations, like, well enough to not just pass, but excel at them. So, no.
Did you ever notice anything strange in his behavior?
Other than, again, his very unusual skill and ability to like not be stressed in this kind of environment, no.
Thank you for coming here. We passed the witness.
Okay, let's stop the timer, Kate. You did a really good job, Katie, of letting Nathan get started and then just let him talk. And he seemed to be supporting your case. If you were directing in a real trial, do you think the opposing team would have objected to anything that Nathan was saying or the way that it was being said?
There's one question, some of it, isn't it not good sometimes to answer super long because they could be like,
Well, it just depends if it's building your case or not, but you want
yeah, I mean, I like it that it's long, but I don't know.
But what do you
Yeah,
think?
we could probably split it up.
What would you?
Yeah, I think we could add more questions and then also add like an ending question that's like a bow.
Okay. Kate, what was the time on that particular direct?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. So you still had another minute if you needed it.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on what you would object to, Nathan, if you were the opposing attorney there?
Now, admittedly, I wasn't thinking this through super at the time. There's a couple things where I think an opposing team would probably throw a relevance objection just to disrupt, like, the cross-ex. Like, I think the question about where do you train or who paid for the facility, I personally would definitely throw a relevance objection there just to derail.
Right.
There's a couple things with like relevance or speculation, maybe, like, depending if I bungled my answer to the question that did you ever experience anything that could suggest a lapse in memory, because me and Katie, I think, went through this.
Yeah.
As long as I phrase my answer correctly, if I don't screw it up, I don't think there would be grounds for a speculation objection there.
I agree.
But there could be, and they could potentially, like, there could be an objection there, but I think it could be pretty easily answered.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just so you guys know, you are a team and you're sitting at the same table. And if you think another attorney should call them out on something, you can encourage them. You can say that was speculation or that's relevance, and then whoever is crossing that particular person can then state that. So you work together. You don't have to figure it all out yourself. You're a team, and you can help each other determine what objections and rules of evidence are being violated at any given time. As we practice that more, you'll do that. I like, Nathan, when you were reading that, you looked like you weren't reading. You looked like you had the facts pretty well, at least well enough to just glance at them and not read them verbatim.
Yeah, that was the goal. And
that
like
was-
obviously I wouldn't have the cheat sheet in a real
You
trial.
won't
so
have a
I'll
cheat
keep
sheet in the
working on that.
regular trial. So the more you can and be able to access this information by memory or familiarity, the more realistic you will look and the more fun and acting you will be able to accomplish. And that can be fun when you have it down. Okay, so very good. That was great, you guys. Good job, Katie. I think you did a good job asking questions. So we are done then. What was the total time then? It was what, 20 minutes?
Yeah, around 19.
So 19, really, that gives you 6 minutes to close. You probably don't need 6 minutes to close, but you have it if you need it. If you probably needed at least another minute on one of the other sections, but next time you guys do this, it'll be better. Okay? So are you ready to
Plus,
start? Go ahead.
don't we have redirects and the closing
Yes.
what's it called? Rebuttal.
Yes. Well, yeah, the close. You have right now you have 6 minutes to redirect or close.
Yeah.
We
And then
haven't-
after closing,
we haven't
save a minute
practiced
to close it.
redirect yet. Pardon?
Okay.
Go ahead, Katie.
After isn't our side the one where when you do your concluding thing you get a minute at the end if you want
Yes,
for
that's prosecution,
Yeah.
right?
Rebuttal.
One more
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
For rebuttal.
rebuttal, yeah.
That is correct.
Just to keep in mind with timing. I was just wondering.
Very good. Good job, Katie. Any other thoughts before we move on to Sterling? Okay, then Sterling, I'm going to let you get started with your opening. You're going to start retiming everything, Kate. So do the whole thing over again. And Sterling's going to do his opening statement, and then we will let you guys select. I would select witnesses from the most important to the least. So I think the most important for you is Northshire. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yes.
So then Nathan, after Sterling's done, you would call
So-
Northshire to the stand. Go ahead.
About that, I had thought, I think it might make more sense to, well, actually, I'm honestly not sure.
To save
because it
him for
really de-
last? To save him for last? Is that what you're thinking?
He is kind of
That's
the biggest,
The last thing you want the jury to hear?
yeah, because he dismantles a lot of the prosecution's case.
Okay.
And I think it might be helpful to have him last
Why don't we?
as sort of a home run.
Well, let's
Yeah.
just do that today and see how that happens. So who would go first then, if we did Northshire last?
Leclerc.
Leclerc? Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
and you do Leclerc, right? You do. Okay, so
But-
then go ahead.
Leclerc's a prosecution witness.
Or Eubanks. Sorry.
Eubanks.
Eubanks. Okay.
Olivia, you're Leclerc. Olivia.
I definitely said Eubanks.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, it's a little confusing, I know, because everyone's playing a witness and an attorney. So, but you guys are rolling with it well. Okay. So then you would just finish your opening statement, and then you would go right into calling a witness.
Okay.
Got it? And then,
Yes.
then who would go then? Then Kayla, you would direct Katie, and then Nathan, you would end by directing Silver. We ready? And by the way, Mr. Zeiger's not here, but I'm recording this and I'm sending it to him.
Okay.
I don't think he's here. I haven't seen him come on, but he will get this and be able to analyze it and give feedback. Okay? Okay. Are you ready, Sterling?
Yes, sir.
Hey, 3, 2, 1, go.
May it please the court. My name is Sterling Rankin, and my co-counsel Caleb Riccio and Nathan Spencer and I will be representing the defense today. Today, we are asking that you find that Nano Design was competent at the time of the publishing of his will. Nano was involved in the testing of a submersible called the Tutu, and he was in the final 6,000-meter test. The defense will provide evidence proving that the Tutu, the underwater exploration sub, passed the exam for a safe trip for the two men. You will see that on November 1st, 2022, the Tutu was set off for the dive off the coast of Texoma after being thoroughly examined. This was the final test that's needed to receive the Texoma Maritime Excursion Certificate. The depth of the final dive was 6,000 meters at the Texoma Trench. The dive was meant to be around 16 hours long, and the vessel was supplied to have 48 hours of oxygen. The Aquatic Center for Exploration was the company pursuing the dive. They designed the trip to have 6 hours down, 4 hours near the ocean floor, and 6 hours to return. 3 hours into the mission, the command ship Bravo lost communication with the Tutu. During the trip, Nano went through the processing of writing his will. We will prove that by the writing of Nano's will, he continuously changed his mind. He had his mind set and then changed it time after time. This proves that he was constantly thinking through his will and what he would donate to. It also proves that the two men, Nano went to Terry Cloth and asked him to be his personal physician because he did not trust anyone else. Terry took the opportunity and was well paid from Nano. Terry brought up the topic of Alex trying to steal Nano's fortune. Nano passed all his physical tests normally, so he was able to go on the Tutu. When it came to Nano's will, he was very precise about who it was to. He wanted to give money to Alex Eubanks and not the Aquatic Center for Exploration. He also wanted to establish that he wanted to give to charities that he supported. This proves further that he was indeed thinking through what he wanted to give to. By his determination of giving to these organizations, it proves that he was not competent, or that he was competent to write his final will, because he was devoted to helping the charities and he deeply thought through all of his decisions. To review what we are proving, Nano was a very smart man who got stuck in a situation he couldn't get out of. He began writing his will because he knew his death might have been coming. We could examine that his knowledge and wisdom was accurate when writing his will, and that he was able to make to write his will.
Competent decision.
Yes, competent decision. Also, when he was writing his will, he was able to think of Mr. Eubanks' nickname, which is another point to prove that he was able to think through what he was doing. This is more proof than needed to show that Nano was competent at the time. Thank you for listening.
What is your goal? What are you trying to prove there?
That Nano was competent.
Competent to what?
To write his will.
Change his will in the submarine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Any thoughts on that before we move on? There's some little things that I can help you touch that up, okay?
Yeah.
And
Yes, sir.
And we'll do that this week, okay? So, but that was a good first start. Nathan, do you have a comment?
I have a quick question. Where? Never mind. Sorry. Sterling, could you move your direct of who?
He's directing.
Of Eubanks, could you move that to the direct folder? Sorry.
Yeah.
It just took me a while to realize it was
I-
there.
Yeah, I put it in the whole defense section because I did both of them on the same one. but
When you deliver that in the real deal, you got to have good eye contact and very good familiarity so you flow and you do not need to look at much. Okay?
yes, sir.
Kate, how long did this opening take?
4 minutes and 5 seconds.
That's about right. That's about the right amount of time. Now you just got to be more confident and more aware and familiar with the material. Okay, very
Yes, sir.
good. And we'll touch it up a little bit for clarity. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So okay, very good then. It's all yours. Then you can call your witness and get started with the direct.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh. Give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Sorry, I closed my tab.
If any of the prosecution attorneys want to do what Nathan did and throw objections into the chat, you can do that while we're doing the directs here. Okay.
The defense would like to call Alex Chern Eubanks to the stand. You ready, Olivia?
Yes.
Can you please introduce your name and age to the jury?
My name is Alex Chern Eubanks, and I'm 37 years old.
And do you have a job?
I worked as Nano's personal assistant and valet since college.
So, was Nano your boss?
Yeah, you could say that. We were also like really good friends though. So.
Okay. And where did you work for Nano?
Like
You were his valet and his assistant. Where was this?
It was usually at his house, but I would often go run around and pick up groceries or pick up dry cleaning, just a whole bunch of like random stuff like that.
Okay. And you went to college with him, so was he a very intelligent person?
Yes, he seemed to be. He graduated with 3 advanced degrees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did you know somebody smarter than him?
I didn't know anyone smarter than him.
Okay. So Nano, when Nano was trying to get to the point, did he get straight to it, or was it a little hard for him to get there?
I mean, he liked to talk, but he liked to ramble sometimes.
Okay. And when he was determined to do something, was it hard to get him off of wanting to do that?
Yes.
Okay. And so you start as his valet assistant or an assistant?
What do you mean by that?
As when you started working for him, you were his valet and assistant.
Yeah. Yes.
And you mentioned y'all were great friends, so did he decide to do anything special for you?
Well, he like paid for a 3-bedroom apartment for me to live in with him when we were in college, and then after that I lived with him for just about until now.
Okay. So And you mentioned you did his laundry, and so you knew him that well that you even were able to do his clothes for him.
Yeah.
So, so Nana was so determined. So, did you know anything about something that Nana was determined to do?
Um, recently he was really determined to go on this submersible dive that he
Okay.
was so excited about.
And do you know why he was determined to go 6,000 meters down?
Um, there was this like myth that he heard that really interested him, and he got really interested in going down there himself, going down into the Texoma Trench himself.
Okay. And what was the myth about?
It was about some like treasure lost in the ocean.
Okay. So did it have any value to it?
I mean, if it existed, probably.
So so this was the reason he decided he wanted to go.
Yeah.
Okay. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead and stop, Kate. You guys just got to get smoother with that. Okay.
Yeah, well,
With
so
practice.
what I did was I accidentally did that as my cross. So I had to kind of swap it around
Okay.
because last night we were texting, I had it confused
Okay.
with who I was directing and who I was crossing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got that figured out now, though, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
So I want to help a little bit with your questions, and so we'll work on that too
Yes, sir.
next week. Okay. And
Yes.
next week this is going to be a lot smoother, or next time we do this will be a lot smoother. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any thoughts by anybody else? Did you have something? It looked like you had your hand up, Nathan.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that I think the problem is that there's a lot of leading questions there, like
Yeah,
and
because
then
I
questions.
did it.
Yeah, the other thing, yeah, like I understand that's kind of an artifact of it being in a cross format, but the other
that I
thing
did.
is that I think you're gonna, because I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to exposit the psyche of design. But the thing with that is you can't have design on the stand because he's dead. But you're essentially asking Eubanks to just make a ton of speculative things. So
Yeah.
a solid half of your questions call for speculation. And so, especially once you get later into that, and so you're going to draw a ton of objections. So I would either find a way to handle them or change the question.
Yeah.
Like enough, tweak it enough to where you can't get, hammered on calls for speculation.
Okay. And that's what we have to do. Okay. You have to have questions answered, asked in the right way. Okay. So we'll go through that and work through that. Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Some of them you might not mind an objection as long as you know how to handle the objection right. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll get on the next part of this. Okay. So who would be the next witness your team would call?
It would be Kayla.
It would be Kayla, right? And who will be doing Kayla?
Well, no.
Katie.
No, Kayla calls.
No. Right.
Yeah.
So Kayla calls Katie. Who is Katie, Kayla?
Wilton.
Wilton. This is like who's on first and what's on second. Okay. Oh, go ahead then. I'm going to let you call them and start your direct examination.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can start timing again, Kate.
Do I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The defense calls Wilton Handlet to the stand. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, my name is Will Handlet.
Where did you get an education?
I got my education through Stanford Law.
What's your current occupation?
Currently, I'm an attorney and an officer of the court of Texoma.
How many years have you been an attorney?
About 7 years now.
Who were you to Nano?
I was his estate lawyer.
Were you and Nano close?
Oh yeah, I'd see this man at least once a week.
Did Nano trust you?
Well, I would say so. I handled his wills for about 6 years, so yes.
From my understanding, you produced Exhibit 5. Is that true?
Yes, that is true.
When was Exhibit 5 executed?
Exhibit 5 was executed on October 15th of 2022.
Can you tell me more about Exhibit 5?
Sure. I watched Nano review the entire will in detail and then observed Nano sign everything. And you can see from the pen marks from Nano as he's going through the bulleted list before signing the bottom. And Nano understood the will process much better than any of my other clients.
Have you ever heard Nano call Alex Ace?
Yes, many times.
When?
Well, Nano would say Ace and Alex in the same sentence a lot, and sometimes he would even say, "You're my ace valet, Alex," to him.
Has Alex been a constant part of Nano's wills?
Yes, he's even in Exhibit 5.
I was gonna have you read Exhibit 5, but I might scrap that. If there was one person that Nano said that he would give his will to, who would it be?
It would be Alex Chern Eubanks.
Why?
Well, because he mentioned the idea of leaving everything to one person several times. And I always advised against it because it would be too crazy and too complicated for one person. But out of curiosity, I often asked who would he pick. And one time in early 2022, he answered that it would be Alex.
Now, Nano liked to write his wills to different charities. What kind of charities would he write them to?
Well, Nano would usually write his will out to charities that he felt bad or guilty for. And at one point, he even was going to leave $500 million to some foundation to save the snail darterfish, but California took care of that.
Since the Aquatic Center of Exploration was already doing so well, would it be out of character for Nano to give his entire fortune to them?
Yes, Chris Leclerc left the Aquatic Center of Exploration a large amount of money in the previous year, so there was no reason for Nano to leave his fortune to them, making it out of character.
Now, before Nano's death, what was his mental state like?
I think Nano was a goofball, no doubt about it, but he was still always in control. I could see how people can think that Nano as different because he was different. Nano had a weird and particular personality, but being weird isn't the same thing as being crazy. And before Nano died, when I saw him December 15th, 2022, we reviewed in detail every part of his will, including Exhibit 5, which he was fully aware of what he was doing, and I would have no reason to question his mentality or sanity.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Handlet. I pass the witness.
Okay, you can also just say no further questions, Your Honor. And okay, so any thoughts on that? You can stop, Kate. Stop timing. Any thoughts on that before we move on to Northshire?
I think from the beginning, since Kayla's new, she doesn't know how to enter an exhibit yet. So I think we should go with doing that. Yeah.
And do you remember what I said about that, Kayla? If you enter a exhibit?
Something about like you have to ask the jury if it's okay.
No, it's here. First, you show it to the opposing attorney. and then you show it to the judge and make sure that this is the exact exhibit, and then you start questioning the witness on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll show you videos of actual trials, mock trials that show the people doing that, just so you get a feel for it, okay?
Okay.
So, but we're gonna have a lot of opportunities to practice that, so you'll be real comfortable with it by the time we get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. I thought, Katie, you did a really good job as a witness, I thought. Very believable. Thanks for the objections, Nathan, even for the other team. And Kayla, great job. I mean, I'm real pleased with how you guys are doing. Are you ready to start with the last witness? What time do we have so far, Kate?
Right now, with both of them, we're at 9 minutes and 38 seconds.
So you got it. You got plenty of time to do the witness who's the most important to your case. That's great, and you can do it at the end. So that probably is a good strategy. Although I'd like to hear what Mr. Zeiger has to say about it. So Nathan, when you're ready, I'm just going to let you take it from there. Okay.
All right. Give me a sec.
And then you start timing, Kate, when he starts.
The defense calls Dr. Max Northrup to the stand. Okay, and I'm just going to assume.
Okay.
Could you please state your name for the record?
My name is Dr. Max Northshire.
Could you list out your credentials and expertise for the jury?
I'm an expert in cognitive neuroscience. I got a PhD from Harvard in cognitive neuroscience. I was an analyst in TBI's behavioral analyst unit for 12 years, and I currently own my own expert consulting firm.
All right, thank you. Who hired you for this trial?
Alex Eubanks' legal team hired me for this trial.
And how much has the defense paid you for this trial?
They paid me just a little over $24,000.
Okay. And do you have any other sources of income?
Not currently, but what I do have is I have it so my client will pay me, I believe, $625 per hour, regardless of if it's me analyzing or whatever it is. And I was honestly originally hired to look at the handwritings, but then I was also asked for my expert opinion, which is why I'm here.
Okay. So what do you do when you analyze handwriting?
I look for clues in the handwritings that indicate some mental deficiencies and explore further with cognitive neuroscience to see if they might have had any mental disabilities or anything of the sort.
And are you familiar with the evidence of Nano's behavior before the dive?
Yes, I was able to, because I was originally hired to look at the handwriting, I was able to look at most of the exhibits before I was called to witness.
Okay, and have you studied the medical and observational reports of Nano's conduct prior to the dive?
I have.
Okay. So based on all the evidence that you've examined prior to the dive, did Nano show any signs that would exhibit to you a reasonable medical probability that he was undergoing a poor mental state?
He did. He showed most of the hallmark, he showed most of, he showed a lot of clear signs of having dementia or any mental disability.
Okay. So could you describe to the jury what pieces of evidence specifically, in your opinion, support this?
Yes. So it seems that he's forgotten names before with Jack Lung. It also seems that he's forgotten where he is and locations that he's familiar with, like the tower incident that happened on September 15th. It also seems to be that he's forgetting his appointments and stuff like that, as on October 17th, I believe, Dr. Terry Claus said that he came in for his doctor appointment, but Nano never showed up.
Okay. So in your professional opinion, was there any medically justifiable reason that these shouldn't have been investigated further?
In my medical opinion, I see no reason at all. Any half-decent doctor would have analyzed further and seen that he had mental disabilities or maybe even dementia.
Okay. And would that conclusion, is that conclusion true even if Nano seemed otherwise physically capable?
Yes, a person's mental status is completely separate from their physical capabilities.
Okay, and I'm kind of curious, would physical problems like, let's say keeping balance, in your opinion, be symptoms of that would indicate to you a reasonable probability of mental compromise?
Yes, in my medical opinion, it seems that um, balance or anything like that would help with medical probability and be symptoms of mental compromise. For example, when Nano fell off the treadmill, it seems like it was a perfect example of mental decline and symptoms of dementia or anything like that.
Have you examined Exhibit 1 as part of what has been marked for identification purposes as Exhibit 1 as part of your investigation?
Yes.
All right. And pause here, sorry, just to note that I'm kind of vague on the stipulations around this, but Exhibit 1, I believe, from my reading, is pre-admitted, so we don't have to admit it. Okay, just to clarify. Were there any patterns you observed in Nano's handwriting throughout Exhibit 1?
Yes, I found many. So in 1C, it is shown that he was rambling and there is lots of poor capitalization, while 1D shows random letters, misspellings, and notes about being sad, weak, and likely showing symptoms of depression. 1E is cryptic and truncated, and likely indicating withdrawn and detachment. And all this is clear indication that cognitive abilities were compromised, in my personal opinion.
Okay, great. So just let's sort of switch gears here. In your opinion, is there a reasonable probability that a loss of oxygen would have affected Nano's cognitive capacity?
Yeah, so cognitive capacity begins to lessen at around 15% oxygen when the oxygen in the air has gone to 15%. And then when it's gone to 10, there is usually unconsciousness. And then finally, when it's below 8%, death comes into the question.
All right. So based on your forensic investigation of the evidence, how would a passenger experience a loss of oxygen on a vessel like the Tutu?
With the evidence shown, in my personal opinion, I think it would have been gradual and it would have been unknown to the passengers as it was happening.
Okay. So how would you describe Nano's handwriting within Exhibit 1F?
And within Exhibit 1F, it seems to be degrading over time, which again would point to cognitive abilities lessening.
Okay. And how would you describe, in your professional opinion, his handwriting on Exhibit 1G?
It seems to be extremely degraded, and basically, it all but collapses. It's like he's writing like a woozy child. The clear difference from pages dated. There's a clear difference from Exhibit 1G to the different pages that are dated closer to October 1st, where he probably had more conscience and more cognitive abilities.
Okay. And so just to be clear, in your opinion, does Exhibit 1G exhibit substantially worse handwriting than before the dive?
In my opinion, yes.
Okay. So based on your experience analyzing handwriting, what does that kind of decline indicate?
In my experience, in my personal opinion, it seems to show the declining cognitive state, which I've stated before.
Okay, and just assuming that the date and time on the will are accurate, based on that, how long would the will have been signed into the dive?
The will would have been signed more than 60 hours into the dive, which would be more than the estimated 40-hour oxygen limit that they had, or that was provided.
And did you examine what has been marked for identification purposes as Exhibit 12 in your role while investigating this case?
I did, and it shows extremely poor handwriting. And while there's no evidence of prior poor handwriting, it's just atrocious, and it seems to show that he had also declining cognitive state.
Okay, so again, just pause. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I would have. So this is my fault, not Silver's, but I was trying to authenticate Exhibit 12 here. So, but I didn't actually have that in the direct document that me and Silver had gone over yesterday. So this is not her fault. This is my problem. But in a real trial, I would obviously go through the whole procedure. Is this authentic? Is this a true and correct copy of what you examined? So on and so forth. Cool. So I'll resume here. So how would you describe Jesse Watkins's note in Exhibit 12?
It was extremely poor handwriting, and it was just atrocious and awful. And honestly, like not Nando, I would say that it shows his cognitive state declining.
Okay. Was there anything else of interest to you in your role as a professional analyzer of handwriting in Exhibit 12?
Yes, in Exhibit 12, Jesse Watkins addresses his wife as Dorothy when her name was Donna, which again clearly indicated her declining health and his declining mental abilities.
Okay. So based on your long experience with forensics and your experience with behavioral analysis and cognitive neuroscience, is it possible that Nano could have rationed his oxygen supply to last a lot longer?
In my expert opinion, I would say no. And using what I know, this is scientifically impossible, for it would have had to last 25% longer.
Okay. So let's turn away from Exhibit 12 for a moment. I'm going to hand you what's been marked for identification purposes as Exhibits 1D and 1G. Do these documents have something in common?
Yes, they both are in my Nano, and they both introduce the letters ACE in sequence.
Okay, and so in what context does the sequence ACE, in your professional opinion, appear on Exhibit 1D?
Exhibit 1D, it appears to be written as a partial alphabetical sequence, so the alphabetical sequence is not accurate or completed.
Okay, and could you compare that to the context of that sequence ACE, how it appears on Exhibit 1G?
Yes, an appearance in Exhibit 1G, it obviously is not in the alphabetical sequence, but it is enlarged. But besides those two things, it is essentially the same.
Do either of these writings, ACE, do either of them have an upward pointing arrow anywhere in them?
No, though we do see in Exhibit 1D, in the word through, the G has an upward arrows, but for the sequence ACE, no, there's no upward arrows in the writing.
Okay, and so in your professional opinion as a handwriting analyst, what does that indicate?
In my professional opinion, I would say that it shows that the ACE in 1G does not have any special significance.
All right, no further questions. The defense passes the witness.
Okay, very good. Kate, what's the time on that?
Currently, altogether, we're at 19 minutes and 59 seconds.
Right on. Okay, that's right where you'd want to be. Okay, so you used a lot of time on the most important witness. I think it was very good for a first shot. I think you did very good. You stumbled a little on some of those big words in the beginning, but no biggie. You'll get more. Just say them over and over. You'll get more comfortable with that. You'll get a lot smoother.
And also,
go ahead, Nathan.
oh, sorry. No, I'm not trying to. I was just going to say that, like, Silver, if you need to change the wording of any of the questions, please do. Like, most of these are just quotes from his,
right,
like,
Testimony.
statement. So if yeah, please.
Yeah. So, and we'll enter all those, all the exhibits and go through practicing doing that properly. So that will become second nature for you. Okay. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts before we go further? Okay, then that was a great first practice. Okay, you kind of probably all know what you need to do to get ready for the next one. If you don't have cross-examine, I think all the cross-examine questions are in, but I will start looking at them. I'm gonna save this and then send it out for you to look at if you want to. I'll also be sending it to Mr. Zeiger so he can look at what you guys did. Remember, he's working with the prosecution team a little more focused, and I'm working with the defendant team a little more focused. So I'll be working with Sterling on some of the direct questions and some of the statement to tighten up the statement, opening statement just a little bit. If you look at the calendar, I'm just telling you, but if you look at the calendar, you'll see two competitions between each of us on the 12th and the 5th of January, the 5th and 12th. What I'm going to do is then we're going to do the direct, the opening, the direct, and the cross. And I'm going to pick a name out of a hat, and that'll be the team that argues their case for that. Okay, so you got to be ready to go either way on it. Okay? And in one case, you would just be witnesses. In another case, you would be arguing your case. So be prepared for either one, and whoever does it on the 5th, the other team will do it on the 12th. And those will be our practices on Zoom. And then we'll do another practice at the school before we go against this team in Houston. And the team we're going against in Houston will be on I believe it's the 17th and 18th. It'll be on Zoom. And we will argue one side on one day and the other side on the next day. So by that time, we'll just need to do some practice reviewing and going over rules of evidence and going over some trial procedures, and you'll be pretty ready. Okay? So any questions before I let you go?
I have a question. Would there be a way for witnesses to practice being crossed? Because if in that scheme, it doesn't sound like we would ever get that chance, which I understand because like we're each cross-examining the witness we play. So we could afford like a practice.
I am happy to do that and do another practice next week if witnesses want to do that. I just know it's Christmas and I was trying to be respectful of y'all's time. So
Can do practice next week because I'll be out of town. I'll probably be headed home, like on the road home.
okay.
At that point,
Yeah, I'll be gone next week too.
Okay.
I'll also
Yeah.
be gone.
Okay. Do you have
I wasn't trying to say like an extra practice. I meant at one of those 2 practices in January.
Yes, we can do that. We'll practice a little bit on that. That'll work. Okay. Okay. In the meantime, you can talk to your direct witnesses and your cross witnesses on your own and make sure that you're both comfortable with each other and you can help each other the most. Okay. Even though you're on one team and you're a witness for the other team, we're all the same team and you got to make their case look good. Okay. And you got to know how to do that. So I encourage you to take time on your own to get together and get that done, have coffee or get on Zoom or whatever works best for you and work through that. And I know a lot of you have already done that, and I really appreciate the diligence that you're showing. So I'm excited about what we're seeing here. And I think we're going to have a really good team by the time we're all done. So I'm going to let you go unless you have another question. Okay, then y'all are free to go, and we'll stay in contact as needed. Great job. Have a great Christmas. Okay. Merry Christmas to everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Yes,
I have
Nathan.
a question.
Thank you.
First Nathan, then Kayla.
thank you.
You're
I was
welcome.
just gonna say, can I talk to you after for a little bit?
Yeah, that's fine. Kayla, what's your question?
I'm gonna wait till people leave to ask
Okay.
this one.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Miss Silver. Okay, there we go. It's just the 3 of us. What's up?
So I haven't done my cross thing yet. I think I need some help because I don't really understand how to write it.
Well, I will help you. Okay, I'm happy to help you. So, have you done anything with it yet?
No,
Okay.
but I can do it like this
Mhm.
week.
I want you to just do it. Make them leading questions. Leading means you don't let them have a long time to answer. It's a yes or no type questions. Okay, so
Mhm.
lead them in the direction you think they should go, and then I will look over that and look over the witness you're crossing, and I will give you help. Okay.
The witness is Terry Claw.
Yeah. So then I'll look over that in the meantime and make sure I'm real familiar with Terry. And then when I see your direct or your cross questions, I'll be able to help you. Okay.
And I
Okay.
can, and I'm also
Good.
like
Nathan.
totally open to helping you with cross. Just let me know what you need help with, and because that's like part of my job here. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Nathan. Okay, so does that help?
Yes.
You know what? For first time, you're really rocking and rolling, Kayla. I'm excited to see how you do. I think you're gonna roll right into this really well, naturally. Okay,
Oh, thank you.
good job. And Nathan, what did you want to say?
I got into Princeton.
Oh, you did! That is so cool. Is it all
Yes,
for me
it's
is it all right for me to tell people?
I tell who?
Well, I would want to tell Terry right away.
Oh yeah, she already knows.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you in person.
Okay, great.
I was gonna text Mr. Thomas today because he also said that I had to tell him. So
So exciting. Super.
no, yeah, it's really cool. They also gave me like enough grant money to where I can actually totally afford to go.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I got like
it,
it was insane.
Well,
Their financial aid program is amazing. We
that
got
is
like yeah,
so
I
great.
think it
I'm
was almost like 70,000.
Yeah, I'm
in
super
grants.
excited. And I was really hoping you were going to get the school you wanted, and that was Princeton. I knew it was. So that's
Yes.
what a great
So-
accomplishment. You should be very proud of yourself. Okay.
I mean, it took the thing. I'm most glad that like I don't have to start on the next round of college admissions because those suck.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work. Okay.
yeah,
You don't have to. Okay. And you'll probably get a couple more acceptances, my guess, if you haven't already.
yeah.
And
My other thing was that I'm like the last couple days have kind of been super duper hectic for reasons. So I'm currently working on my cross. I should be able to get those into you like
perfect.
by today.
That's
So
awesome. That's great. And I will let you help me with her cross too. Okay.
Okay.
Kayla,
All right.
Okay. And I will. But this is going pretty well. I think I think we're going to be raring to go by the time this happens. So
Yeah, like this is so much better than the last time I did this. Like we were at this point 2 years ago, 2 weeks before,
2 weeks before, even if we were even
or
that.
1 week before,
Yeah,
we
1
were
week.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I learned
this
a
is
lot.
definitely coming together.
I learned a lot how to do this, and I think we're better. And so I'm excited, and I think we have a really good shot at this. So
I do too.
okay. Well, that's great, but I am so proud of you and what you've done, and you should be very proud of yourself. I know your parents are too. So
Thank you.
super exciting. Can't wait to tell everybody at school. Okay. So get a hold of Mr. Thomas right away. Okay.
We'll do.
I know
Right.
he'll be excited. Thanks a lot. Okay.
All right.
See you, Nathan. Bye-bye.
Bye.